Zanskar in the past 3 to 4 years has changed drastically. New roads and highways are being built at a furious pace, connecting the region and its villages to the outside world. There is no doubt that these new roads bring a lot of growth and prosperity to the region. But they also have an unfortunate side effect of accelerating the disappearance of many of the traditional tools and practices that the people here have been using for many decades and centuries. My goal in these last few years is to document these traditional practices before they disappear forever. Practices like using horses for transportation when there are no roads to drive on. Practices like using yaks for carrying heavy items in places where there are no trucks to transport them. Practices like using sledges during winter to easily carry heavy items on the frozen river. Practices like harnessing the power of water to churn butter and grind barley. However, the traditional practice that I was most interested in documenting this year was the making of sampa, the roasted barley flour that is the primary source of sustenance for the people of Ladakh and Zanskar. With the advent of new roads, most of the villages have switched over to using tractors and other machines to aid their agricultural practices. There remains only a handful of villages that still follow the traditional way of using yaks for this purpose, and one of those villages is Shaday. Located deep inside the Sarapchu River Valley, Shaday is one of the most remote and most beautiful villages in all of Ladakh and Zanskar. Reachable only by a 25-kilometer narrow hiking trail, Shaday is very remote, and this remoteness has helped preserve many of the traditional practices that are extinct elsewhere in Zanskar. Shaday has been the focus of many of my documentary projects over the last few years. I am trying to document all the major events at the village across all seasons and hope to weave them all into a documentary film in the future. Last year, in 2024, my project was to document the cultivation of barley in Shaday and the production of sampa using the harvested barley. The cultivation season starts in the villages of Ladakh and Zanskar with the Saka festival. Ironically, Saka is one festival that the villagers of Shaday do not celebrate, and I had to go to the Sheela and Sheelapur villages in Zanskar to document this practice. The Saka festival is a prayer for a good harvest. The villagers paint their faces white with sampa and conduct pujas and prayers to the elements, to the sun and to the moon, to give them good weather and adequate water for growing their crops. The highlight of the Saka festival happens when the villagers take their yaks to their fields and symbolically plow the shape of the sun and the moon onto the field to bring them good luck. The villagers start plowing their fields soon after the Saka festival is completed. And I hiked to the Shaday village last year to document the plowing of the fields using yaks. taking a short break. Always the climb up after the bridge is always difficult, but the view from here is absolutely amazing. Just reached the Pukhtar monastery, and there is a herd of ibex right in front of me on the path. They're all looking at me right now. They'll start running by the time I go a little forward. Yeah. You can see them now, just behind the rock. A huge herd. The plowing happens towards the beginning of May. It is also the time when new vegetation starts sprouting in the lower reaches of the valley, and a lot of wild animals like ibex and blue sheep come down to the valley floor to graze on the fresh new vegetation. Late spring is a wonderful time to spot wildlife in Zanskar, and I had a lot of fun spotting hundreds of ibexes and blue sheep on my way to Shaday. There are a couple of ibex there on the ridge, and it's like a perfect shot where they're like standing on the ridge with the sky in the background. Let me see before they move away. First I'll take a photo. I just stopped here for a short rest and saw a herd of ibex on the other side of the river, all the way over there across the river. So I have some chicken. This is cooked. Oh, very nice. The trail is broken here. A small break, but still quite dangerous if you slip and fall. So this is the challenge hiking to Shaday. You have to traverse across very steep scree slopes, and when it rains, or like now, if it snows a lot during the winter, and when the snow melts or when the water flows in the scree slopes get cut a bit. Sorry, it's cold, so my mouth is a little numb. So anyway, because of the flowing water, the scree slopes get cut a bit, and it's quite dangerous to traverse them. Anyway, so this is a small break here. I can easily step over it. Yeah. Just wanted to show you guys. So the villagers made me some khemar to eat on the way. This is nothing but sampa, mixed with butter and sugar. They make it into balls. And it's very tasty and perfect energy food to eat while hiking. So I always eat femur for breakfast if I have sampa with me. And if I visit villages, I get some sampa from them. And when I'm hiking back, I always request them to make me some pimar to eat on the way, and they're always very happy to do that. I reached Shaday just in time for the plowing to start. The villagers all worked together, helping each other to plow their fields over the course of the next 5 to 6 days. I also pitched in and helped out the villagers to pull their yaks. It was hard work, especially if the yak you're leading is a bit stubborn and does not want to move. The plowing is definitely very hard work for the yaks. Some might even say it is a bit cruel as they are pulled forward by their noses, but it is part of the symbiotic relationship between the yaks and the villagers. The yaks help the villagers in their heavy tasks for a few days a year, and in return, the villagers take care of them throughout the year. The baby yaks and the adolescents up to 5 years old are in danger of being killed by wolves and snow leopards, so the villagers keep them in their homes and take them out to graze every day while keeping a watchful eye over them. And once the yaks are big enough to fend for themselves, the villagers set them free to graze in the mountains, to roam free, undisturbed for the majority of the year. And whenever the yaks are required for work, the villagers set out on horses to find them in the mountains beyond Shaday and bring them back to the village. And once the work is over, the yaks will again be released to roam free in the mountains until they are needed again. The normal route to Shaday is a 25-kilometer hike from the Pukhtar monastery, a hike that I've done numerous times in the past. But this September, I took a different route to Shaday via the Stongde pass with a friend. It was a very fun and adventurous hike with around 15 to 20 water crossings. The water crossings make this hike almost impossible in the summer months, and it can be done only from late August onwards when the water level in the stream decreases. We reached Shaday just in time for the threshing to start. And for the threshing, the villagers need their yaks, which are now roaming free in the mountains beyond Shaday. So we joined the villagers to go search for the yaks in the Niri valley beyond Shaday. It was my second time on horseback in these mountains, and I was very comfortable on the horses and thoroughly enjoyed the experience. The villagers have to cross 2 high altitude passes before reaching the Niri valley, where the yaks generally like to graze. They spend around 2 to 3 days searching for the yaks in the mountains before rounding them up to bring them back to Shaday. The threshing of the barley or the kui starts soon after the yaks are brought back to the village.
Holo, 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 ya. Holo, mador, kororo, ya. Mama te po maliko.
While the plowing was very difficult and labor intensive for the yaks, the threshing is very labor intensive and difficult for the humans, requiring a lot of work to extract the barley grains from the harvested crops.
Holo, 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 ya. Ya holo, 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 to holo. Darashi ormona, selemoni giri bacha, ribacha. Sejanela, su. Malamendoni silide. Holo jobra, hire. Jolobra lamo, hire. Mane mala, surbutu. Hele hor gala visike, visike. Holo jobra, hire. Jolobra lamo tirire, ter. Hello. Imahampo sadandra. Ralaunbu tidandra, tidandra.
The final job of the yaks during threshing is to carry the large sacks of barley grains back to the village.
Ulanino, yagu, ulani mindu donjung, donjung.
The harvested grains are washed thoroughly in the stream to remove any impurities. The washed grains are dried in the sun before they are stored away to make sampa at a later date. I left Shaday after the threshing was completed, only to return a week later to document the making of sampa. The process of making sampa starts with roasting the barley grains. This pre-cooks the grains, and the resulting sampa is edible as it is without any further cooking. The roasted barley grains are then taken to water mills outside the village called the runtaks. These runtaks use the power of water to rotate a grinding stone that crushes the barley grains into a fine flour. This flour is collected by the villagers and it forms the primary source of nutrition for the upcoming year. I ended up going to Shaday 4 to 5 times this year to document the agricultural practices, but still I missed out on a few key events like watering the crops during the summer months and harvesting the crop at the beginning of autumn. I look forward to returning to Shaday this summer to continue documenting life in this remote and fascinating village of Zanskar.
Masih tidak.
Oh, seru na. Ngaji kita like